Today is a very good day because the first review scores for the Resident Evil 4 remake have just dropped and they are insanely high. This is actually a Game of the Year contender just looking at the Metacritic. But I want to talk about the scores because I must admit, even as a person that's playing the game and loving it, I'm blown away by just the overwhelming flood from even journalists that sometimes skew very negative. Let's talk about that. What's up, gamers? Dreamcastguy here. Hi, hope you're having a great day. If you could like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. So we're just going to be real loosey-goosey about this and check out some of the best scores because, really, I normally like to check out the lowest scores and see their complaints, but there really isn't any low scores to be had. Now, I do want to quickly say I'm putting out a review of this myself. I'm a mega fan of Resident Evil 4, the original and the remake, so I have a lot to say. Expect that review pretty soon. But when I woke up this morning, I was actually shocked because the embargo is up, and right here, IGN 10 out of 10, Gamespot, straight across the board, very, very high scores. I wanted to take a look at Metacritic, though. It's been fluctuating between a 93 and a 95, which means not only is this one of the highest rated games of the year, already with 88 critic reviews, this is one of the best rated games of all time. This is easily one of the top rated horror games ever. This has higher review scores currently than like the original Silent Hill 2 or even the original Resident Evil 4, but I wanted to take a look at some of these little blurbs where they sort of condense down the reviews themselves. Simply put, the Resident Evil 4 remake is as action-packed as the original and keeps that same sincere vision while updating on graphics, controls, and all the other modern comforts of gaming that we've come to expect. If you're a franchise fan that's been there from the start, come for the excellent reanimation of one of the game's finest. If you're a newcomer, come for campy atmosphere and superlative visuals. Whatever you come for, you'll be sure to stay for bingo. It's crazy to me how much Capcom, they knew this game was going to be a masterpiece. I have to say that even as a mega fan of Resident Evil, I am so deeply blown away by the fact that they nailed it. This seemed pretty much like an impossible project. The original Resident Evil 4 is so good, it's so quirky, it's so different from the rest of the Resident Evil franchise. The fact that they managed to take it and actually just do RE2, RE3, and now RE4 in this big, beautiful, fluid motion, these developers, I'm dead serious. This is the best horror development team of all time. I don't think anybody can deny that. They have hit it out of the park again and again and again. Now, let's check this one out. Shack News, another 100 freaking score. Resident Evil 4 Remake improves upon a masterpiece in ways that will make it hard to go back to the original. It might very well be the most perfect horror action game I've ever played. That is just, man, the love for this goes on and on and on. Let's just actually do this, though. If you click here, you can see all the critic scores. It actually tallies it up. You can see there's 86 positive reviews and 2 mixed reviews. Just for funsies, let's scroll down here and try and see a mixed review. Look at that. 100, 100, 100. Gaming Bolt, The Gamer, PlayStationLifestyle.net, IGN. It's insane to me that everybody is just lining up to salute the king. But let's try and go down here. Look at all these 100s. I'm not sure I've ever seen a horror game with this many 100s. This is just, I'm literally in shock. As a fan, this is such a great day. Look how low I have to even find one negative score. Look how long I have to scroll. Oh my gosh, I'm still scrolling. What the? Here we go. I found 2 negative reviews. Dual Shockers. Resident Evil 4 Remake asks the bold question of whether you can perfect what already was considered perfection. While fairly competent at the basics, Capcom's latest remake lacks the creative energy of its series revivals, leaving you wanting much more. In an attempt to make Resident Evil 4 with modern sensibilities, it has left behind what made the original game so great to begin with. It's interesting that, honestly, this is just such a, it's interesting to see the flood of love already. Ooh, here's an interesting little blurb. After a 16-hour initial playthrough on standard difficulty and a New Game Plus run on hardcore, I can happily say that Resident Evil 4 has benefited hugely from the remake treatment. The visuals are superb. The sound design is exquisite. The character redesigns are fresh, yet retain the charms of the classic models. Most impressively, though, the 2023 game plays on your knowledge of the previous iteration, punishing and pleasing you in equal measure. Now, this is something I can definitely attest to in the Resident Evil 4 remake. It's definitely built in such a fascinating way. If you're a new fan, it's completely set up like you can just run through it and it's going to be a nice, clean, great experience. But if you're a classic fan and you're expecting a particular jump scare or an item to be in a certain spot, it's going to mess with you. The brilliance of this game is so, it's jaw-dropping. It is interesting to me, though, that this person's initial playthrough took 16 hours on normal difficulty. Now, the original Resident Evil 4 was already one of the longest Resident Evils, other than Resident Evil 6, which was like 30 hours, which, let me just say, 30 hours for a horror game, way too long. RE6 definitely overstays its welcome, but even the original Resident Evil 4 took about 10 hours to finish. I remember I actually was trying to set a speedrun world record for a while with RE3, and I would use the infinite rocket launcher because that was allowed. And even with the infinite rocket launcher and skipping every cutscene, the game was already like 5 hours. So it's interesting they've managed to take an already beefy experience and extrapolate that out and get even more blood from the stone. The last thing I really want to look at here, though, is my good buddy Gene Park. He's over at the Washington Post. He recently kind of changed jobs within the company, and he did his first big review for this. A perfect score for the Resident Evil 4 remake. And I wanted to take a look at his blurb, because honestly, I really do respect Gene Park probably more than any other gaming journalist. I think he does a lot of really interesting deep dives on the industry and technology, and I also just think that his takes are based. But he said this: "There's little in pop culture that mirrors the intoxicating experience of a remade Resident Evil game. It's not like a remaster of an old song or a mere technological upgrade that other game series often do. It's not like a cover song either, since those are perspectives from different artists. A Resident Evil remake is experimental, probably closer to reliving your favorite concert with your favorite artist in the same venue, all with better light rigging and sound, and everyone still has that same youthful verve. The series' ability to replicate that kind of experience has made the gold standard of video games." And he straight up gave it a perfect freaking score. It gets that perfect score. How could it not? There is no Last of Us without Resident Evil 4, and the remake is like revisiting your home sweet home. I think this game is going to sell absolute gangbusters. Already, I just am seeing such a crazy groundswell of hype that I'm pretty sure I've never really experienced before. As a kid who grew up loving Resident Evil, a kid who grew up actually acting it out with my friends. We'd make little puzzles and take turns being the zombies and being Leon and trying to fake shoot and stuff. It always felt niche. It always felt a bit obscure when I was a kid. So growing up and not only seeing Resident Evil become bigger and better, but also watching Capcom go back and rebuild what are essentially my favorite childhood memories, it's truly a sight to behold. But these have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts. If you could subscribe and like this video, I hope you guys have a very great day, and please keep dreaming. My review of the game itself, of RE4 Remake, should be up before launch. I'll let you know. I'll tweet about deadlines and stuff.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.